What's up, Drakes and Drakas? In this video, we're going to look at magical dragon bonds. Dragons are not horses. They do not easily accept men upon their backs, and when angered or threatened, they attack. You can look at this a few ways. In real life, it is easier to gain the trust of and mount a horse than, let's say, an ostrich. Actually, I just made that up. It's probably true, but I've never met an ostrich. The point is, some animals are harder to ride than others, so maybe dragons are just hard creatures to ride. But let's be real, this is high fantasy. Dragons are magical. To ride a dragon, someone bonds with a dragon. But it's more than just a connection. It's a type of blood magic. Not actual blood, but an exchange of souls, similar to warging. When Bran first wargs a raven in Bloodraven's Cave in the books, he realizes that there is a singer inside of the raven, meaning the soul of a Children of the Forest, a singer that warged the raven in the past. Someone else was in the raven, he told Lord Brynden, once he had returned to his own skin. Some girl, I felt her. A woman, of those who sing the Song of Earth, his teacher said. Long dead, yet a part of her remains, just as a part of you would remain in summer if your boy's flesh were to die upon the morrow. A shadow on the soul, she will not harm you. Do all the birds have singers in them? All, Lord Brynden said. Now, we don't have any super dragon bonder explaining this stuff to Dany, but it's pretty clear that blood magic is involved in dragon bonding as well. Here are 8 examples. In George R.R. Martin's novella, Sons of the Dragon, we meet Aegon the Conqueror's children. His first son, Aenys, was a sickly little lad, but he was given the hatchling Quicksilver, at which point he began to grow stronger and more confident. Number 2. Aemon One-Eye and Vhagar. The event around Aemon One-Eye bonding Vhagar was pretty badass, so check out that video if you're not familiar with it. Vhagar was enormous, and Aemon One-Eye was only 10 years old. So Aemon rides Vhagar for the first time, and after he gets off, his 3 half-nephews attack him. Luke slashes out one of Aemon's eyes, which is why he became known as Aemon One-Eye. When this happened, Aemon let out a yell, because it probably hurt a little bit, and as he did it, Vhagar roared as well. Number 4. During the dance, Queen Helaena was sort of a hostage at the Red Keep, kind of like a Sansa Stark situation. But she took her own life, jumping out a window and getting impaled on the spikes below. When this happened, her dragon, Dreamfire, who was all the way over at the dragon pit, broke 2 of her chains and let out a loud cry. It was their bond. When Queen Helaena died, a piece of Dreamfire died, and a piece of Helaena presumably lived on inside of Dreamfire, unfortunately not for very long, because of number 5, the storming of the dragon pit. Queen Rhaenyra was up at the Red Keep with her dragon Syrax, and her son Joffrey was with her, but Joffrey's dragon Tyraxes was over at the dragon pit. So he climbed up onto his mom's dragon Syrax to fly over there and get his dragon. Unfortunately, he wasn't bonded with Syrax, so she threw him off to his death. This loss enraged Rhaenyra, and her dragon Syrax, instead of flying back to the Red Keep, flew over to the dragon pit to kill the attackers. When she got there, she landed and used her horns, claws, teeth, and tail. It didn't really make sense. On the ground, she was vulnerable, and unfortunately, the riding common folk killed her. So why did Syrax land instead of flying around shooting fire at the attackers from the sky? Most likely, because Syrax was driven by her dragon rider's rage after losing yet another child in this stupid dance of the dragons. Number 6. Sunfire and King Aegon II. Sunfire was injured in a battle alongside Vhagar versus Meleys. He never fully recovered as his wing was half torn off, so he had trouble flying even short distances, but for some reason, he flew over the sea to Dragonstone. Did he return there because it was his birthplace? Did he return there to be near a volcano or maybe dragonglass for healing powers? I don't know, maybe. But an argument can be made that Sunfire returned to Dragonstone because he could sense that his dragon rider went there. Aegon II was there, and Aegon II was desperate. But who can presume to know the heart of a dragon? Number 7, this is a good one. Sad, but vital to the conversation. Vermithor and Silverwing. In the Dance of the Dragons, Vermithor died at the Second Battle of Tumbleton. After the battle was done, Silverwing finally flew down alongside his slain cousins below, Tessarion, Seasmoke, and Vermithor. Later, singers would tell of how thrice she lifted Vermithor's wing with her nose, as if to make him fly again. But this is most like a fable. Fable my ass, that happened. Archmaester Gildane wrote The Princess and the Queen, but don't believe everything that maesters write. Maesters often disagree with each other, and they often tailor their songs to fit their lord's agenda, or their own. Silverwing was crushed. Vermithor was her mate. They had often coiled up in the fields over the weeks leading up to the battle, so when Vermithor died, Silverwing was so upset. And it gets better. Vermithor was the late King Jaehaerys' mount of old, and Silverwing was good Queen Alysanne's. So one could argue that these dragons did not just mate back in the day because of proximity, but because their souls were partially embodied by their dragon riders, who were lovers at the time. Their riders were mates, and as a result, the dragons became mates. Number 8. Caraxes and Vhagar. Caraxes, the badass bloodworm, ridden by Prince Daemon, Lord of Fleabottom, Prince of the City, the Rogue Prince. And Vhagar was ridden by a now 20-year-old Aemon One-Eye. This was the dragon fight of all dragon fights. Prince Daemon and Prince Aemon One-Eye were both badass, and they both hated each other.
He mocked Daemon for facing him alone. "You have lived too long, uncle." And Daemon replied, "On that much, we agree."
Before they fought high above the God's Eye, the dragons and their riders had a nice little chat on the ground. As they did so, their dragons glared balefully at each other, an obvious reflection of their dragon riders' hatred for one another. You know how we know this? Because Vhagar's prior dragon rider was Prince Daemon's own second wife, Laena Velaryon. So Vhagar and Caraxes freaking knew each other really well and never had issues with one another. They traveled the world together at one point, until the Dance of the Dragons. Man, the dance is sad. So despite Caraxes being half of Vhagar's size, this fight marked the end of both Caraxes and Vhagar's songs, forever.
Vhagar, the greatest of the Targaryen dragons, had counted 181 years. Thus passed the last living creature from the days of Aegon's conquest.
And last, but definitely not least, number 9, Caraxes and Sheepstealer. Check this one out. So Prince Daemon was married to Queen Rhaenyra. Queen Rhaenyra was one side of the Dance of the Dragons. But during the war, Prince Daemon seems to have fallen in love with this girl called Nettles, who had bonded with a huge wild dragon named Sheepstealer. Together, they had been searching for Vhagar to take him out. But other dragon riders sort of bailed on Queen Rhaenyra, so she became paranoid and ordered Nettles to be killed. But the Maester at Maidenpool, Maester Norrin, told Prince Daemon that his lord received a letter saying to have Nettles killed. So the next morning, Nettles flies off, never to be seen again. But listen to this. No word of farewell was spoken betwixt man and maid, but as Sheepstealer beat his leathery brown wings and climbed into the dawn sky, Caraxes raised his head and gave a scream that shattered every window in Jonquil's tower. There you go, folks. That scream was definitely a reflection of his dragon rider, Prince Daemon, being not only pissed, but heartbroken. Dragon bonding, it's magical, and at times it's awesome, but at times it's total crap. It's a form of slavery, just like Varamir and his 6 animals. And Bran and Hodor. You don't really get this perspective in the show, but Bran was a total douche to Hodor. He looked at him as a nitwit and secretly warged him several times for the fun of it on their journey to the cave. And as he did it, he knew Hodor was so scared and he was whimpering. And don't get me wrong, Bran was just a kid. I don't hate him, but I'll expand on this in another video. It was pretty messed up. Back to dragon bonding. I'm not saying dragon bonding is wrong. There are many legendary songs sung about dragons and their riders. But unfortunately, there are also many sad songs.